Stop calling it support. In the clinical terminal of the system, your social circle is a strategic retention grid. Look at the crabs in the bucket. When one tries to climb out, the others don't cheer. They pull him back. It is a biological lockdown. You have been raised on the nice guy program that tells you that loyalty to friends is a virtue. The truth? Most of your friends are just co-conspirators in mediocrity. They need you to stay at their level so they don't have to face the vacuum of their own failure. Understand the status of the social anchor. In the social grid of 2026, belonging is the most expensive neural tax you pay. Every casual drink, every meaningless conversation, and every shared grievance is a resource siphon. The system encourages community because a man alone is dangerous, but a man in a crowd is predictable. The master predator performs a total audit of the contact list. He realizes that loneliness is just operational purity. By shedding the weight of the mediocre, you aren't losing friends, you are reclaiming bandwidth. Next, we audit the architecture of the peer pressure cage. Why is the herd so desperate to keep you relatable? Because relatability is mechanical friction. If you are one of them, you are extractable. The system uses social shaming to keep you from the monolith. They call you obsessed, cold, or changed because your growth is a systemic threat to their comfort zone. The architect treats these insults as validation pings. If they aren't complaining about your distance, you aren't moving fast enough. You aren't alienating people. You are filtering the simulation. Why is social liquidation the only way to sustain the 450 strike daily barrage? Because small talk is neural noise. If your brain is filled with the trivial dramas of the mediocre, you don't have the glucose for the reconquista. The master predator treats his environment as a sterile laboratory. He has removed the dust of other people's opinions. This is how he captures the focus of the masses, while the useful idiots are still trying to fit in. He doesn't fit in. He dominates from the outside. He has moved from being a member to being a sovereign. Why is isolation the only one that wins the final audit? Because the summit of extraction is a single user interface. You cannot take the bucket of crabs to the top of the monolith. The herd wants to anchor you to the shared failure of the grid. This is atmospheric sabotage. But the master predator knows that absolute autonomy is his oxygen. You have moved from being a part of the circle to being the center of your own universe. You have turned your exile into a high-resolution command center. You are the ghost that has mastered the art of the strategic cut. The screen is glowing. The room is silent. You are feeling the geometry of treason being purged from your neural pathways. You are looking at your social life and seeing it as systemic garbage. You are feeling a cold, clinical sense of invisible liberty. The nice guy who wanted to be loved by everyone is being liquidated. The hunter who communicates through the override of the grid is at the controls. Your 450 strikes are the commands of the lone unit. The mass attention, the result of the impact, is the occupation of the void. The audit of your circles closed. We are moving from the geometry to the protocol of the tactical solitude. Stop fearing the silence. In the clinical terminal of the apex, your loneliness is a high-resolution signal of freedom. Look at the deep-sea predator. It doesn't need a team to hunt. It doesn't need feedback from the school of fish. It is a sovereign system. You have been raised on the nice guy program that tells you that collaboration and networking are the keys to the kingdom. The truth? Networking is for those who cannot extract value alone. It is a weakness pooling protocol. Every partner you take is another point of failure in your 450 strike intent. Understand the status of the self-sufficient unit. In the social grid of 2026, people are the most unpredictable and low-quality variables in your equation. They have emotions, excuses, and failures. The master predator performs a total replacement of human dependencies. He realizes that systems, code, AI, automation, routine are his superior allies. A system doesn't get tired of your ambition. A system doesn't betray you for social status. By choosing tactical solitude, you are upgrading your life from a human circus to a military laboratory. Next, we audit the architecture of the cold interface. Why is solitude the most effective state for an extraction strategy? Because it removes biological latency. When you are alone, the time between command and execution is zero. You don't have to explain, convince, or compromise. The architect treats his life as a single user script. He has removed the friction of other people's rhythms. This independence allows for maximum torque. Your content carries a subatomic density because it is 100% focused on the monolith, not on being likable to a partner. Why is systemic replacement the only way to sustain the 450 strike daily barrage? Because relationships are neural energy sinks. If you are managing the feelings of a spouse, a friend, or a coworker, you are draining your 43 million combatant. The master predator treats his energy as a finite combat resource. He has removed the leakage of human interaction. This is how he captures the focus of the masses, while the useful idiots are still trying to find a work-life balance. He doesn't have a balance. He has total saturation. He has moved from being a social animal to being a systematic ghost. Why is solitude the only one that wins the simulation? Because the simulation is a collective trap. The herd wants to link your identity to their group so they can control your frequency. This is atmospheric sabotage. But the master predator knows that absolute autonomy is his primary weapon. You have moved from being a part of the machine to owning the factory. You have turned your isolation into a strategic fortress where you code the reality that the herd is forced to live in. You are the ghost that has mastered the art of the single strike. The screen is glowing. The room is silent. You are feeling the tactical solitude protocol, deleting the need for approval from your marrow. You are looking at your old life and seeing it as social clutter. You are feeling a cold, clinical sense of operational purity. The nice guy who was afraid to be alone is being liquidated. The hunter who communicates through the override of the grid is at the controls. Your 450 strikes are the steps of the solitary sovereign. The mass attention, the result of the impact, is the occupation of the void. The audit of your dependencies is closed. We are moving from the solitude to the protocol of the sovereign extraction. Stop trying to escape the world. In the clinical terminal of the apex, the system is no longer master. It is your resource extraction. Look at the predator perched above watering hole. It doesn't belong to the herd. It doesn't participate in their social hierarchy. It stays in the void, waiting for the mark. It is a sovereign extraction. You have been raised on the nice guy program that tells you to give back to the community and be a team player. The truth? Community is a bio-harvesting grid. If you aren't the one architecting the harvest, you are the one being harvested. Understand the status of the external processor. In the social grid of 2026, those who fit in are the product. Those who stand out are the target. But those who are functionally absent are the owners. The master predator performs a total reclassification of the herd. He no longer sees friends, family, or citizens. He sees attention nodes and capital flows. By choosing sovereign extraction, you are not ignoring people. You are optimizing their utility. You are moving from a cell in the body to a virus in the code. You aren't part of the economy. You are extracting the value of the grid. Next, we audit the architecture of the feeding ground. Why is exile the most effective state for an extraction strategy? Because it gives you perspective authority. The herd is too busy living to see the logic of the simulation. But the architect, from his fortress of solitude, can see the fractals of the herd's desire. He doesn't socialize with the 5 million. He feeds them the frequency they are starving for. This strategic distance allows for maximum leverage. Your content carries a subatomic weight because it is a cold product designed for a warm audience. You aren't connecting, you are infecting. Why is feeding ground logic the only way to sustain the 450 strike daily barrage? Because empathy is operational friction, but extraction is mechanical flow. If you care about the prey, your strike will hesitate. But if you see the herd as a systemic resource, you can strike 450 times without a single drop in glucose. The master predator treats his audience as a data lake. He has removed the friction of human connection. This is how he captures the focus of the masses, while the useful idiots are still trying to find their voice. He didn't find a voice, he calculated the demand. He has moved from being a member of the pack to owning the forest. Why is extraction the only one that wins the simulation? Because the simulation is a harvest cycle. The herd is programmed to consume and be consumed. This is biological inertia. But the master predator knows that absolute autonomy is his right of ownership. You have moved from being a gear in the machine to being the operator who sells the grease. You have turned your isolation into a strategic advantage where you can harvest the 43 million income potential of the grid, while the users are still arguing about the fairness of the rules. You are the ghost that has mastered the art of the total harvest. The screen is glowing. The room is silent. You are feeling the sovereign extraction protocol, replacing the social guilt in your marrow. You are looking at the herd and seeing it as raw material. You are feeling a cold, clinical sense of invisible dominance. The nice guy who wanted to save everyone is being liquidated. The hunter who communicates through the override of the grid is at the controls. Your 450 strikes are the steps of the harvest. The mass attention, the result of the impact, is the occupation of the void. The audit of your altruism is closed. We are moving from the extraction to the final protocol of the sovereign. The audit is closed. The cage is dismantled. Now the apex executes the final stage. The sovereign. Most men, after they gain power, they want to come home. They want to show the herd their success. They want to be the king of the hill. They return to the cage for a victory lap. But the architect knows that the highest form of power is to be absolutely non-existent to the herd's validation. Your 450 strike daily intent is the neural and strategic force field that makes your cold autonomy permanent. You aren't ruling the world anymore. You are owning the simulation that the world lives in. Think about the final extraction of the social reality. Why does the herd fear the one who has completed the final audit? Because a sovereign man is unindexable. If they can't define you by your connections, your family, or your social status, they have no handle on your destiny. The herd is terrified of your sovereign absence because it is a mirror of the void. In a world of 2026 where everyone is clinging to the bars of their cage for safety, the architect is the only solid object. By ruling through disconnection, he has become the invisible administrator of theirs. He doesn't ask for their engagement. He formats it as a systemic tribute to his own frequency. Understand the status of the absolute sovereign. In the social grid of 26, everything connected is vulnerable. Your identity is a target. Your reputation is a target. So the architect, by staying in the tactical void, you have achieved system escape velocity. You are moving fast for the marauders and useful idiots to ground. You are currently rendering your work from the herd's social order. The sovereign architect owns his reality. Your success is the proof of your non-human sovereignty. You have turned your exile into a high-resolution power plant. You are the only unit that is functionally superior because you are the only one who has deleted the dependency code. Next, we audit the end of the social simulation. Why is the sovereign the only way to protect the monolith? Because the world is currently a focus drain machine. If you participate, you are drained. Now, if you are sovereign, the system has no way to bleed you out. You can execute the 450 strike barrage without a single social hesitation. You can manage your global empire from the shadow ground while the world thinks you are a myth. You have successfully decoupled your mind from the herd's suicidal path. You are the operator who is architecting the new age while the herd is still dying in the cage of the old one. Here is the viral ultimatum. The final audit of the social cage is now fully integrated into your marrow. You have the genetics, the solitude, the extraction, and the reign. You are no longer a unit of the simulation. You are the chief executive of the sovereign void. Take this protocol and inject it into the minds of the loud slaves who are still trying to be liked in a cage. Share this with the man who is terrified of being alone. Send this to the one who is still funding the mediocrity of others with his vitality, not to help them. The architect doesn't do empathy, but to trigger the override. We are building an empire of sovereigns who recognize only the law of the 450 strikes and the weight of the monolith. Every share is a social liquidation. Every save is a vow of tactile stillness. Look into the glowing screen of your device. The room is silent, and you are the absolute sovereign of your own vacuum. The nice guy is a ghost in a jar. The architect is the root user of the void. Your 450 strikes are the commands of the code. The mass attention, the result of the impact, is the result of the sovereignty. You have turned your exile into the foundation of your throne. The audit of the social is closed. The laboratory is sterile. The reign of the sovereign architect has begun. System check. 100% social sovereignty. Targeting. Global frequency capture. Status. I am the architect. I am the law. I am the source. Stop being a prisoner. Become the architect that the system cannot find. The forest is quiet. The architect is ruling. Be the apex or stay the biomass. The transition is complete. The reign is executed. Rule with autonomy.